And all of this happened in the time frame of when I vanished. Your Earth days was but a few seconds to me. And I had to use my few seconds wisely, expecting to appear back in the dark realm with chains wrapped around my wrist. I then fell into my bed of my current timeline, confused when I said, huh? How am I here? A bound queen cannot jump? This is impossible, because I had just vanished and disappeared as a bound queen. That is not so. It's not the witching hour. How am I here? It's only 2 p.m. What is this? When I then said, strange. When I then put my sleeping mask back over my eyes again, because by wearing a sleeping mask with darkness over my eyes, it helped me descend into the dark realm even faster. And just before I got ready to jump, something very unexpected happened. I think I have a visitor. As whoever it was had just walked into the room, into my atmosphere as if it was nothing for them to get past my barriers. And I could not see. Who is it? When worried, thinking it was Satan, I asked, who are you? Now at this time, someone had just walked into my room, breaking through all of my barriers as if it was nothing. And afraid that it was Satan, I then quietly slumped down into my bed. When the person walked closer and kneeled down slowly, peering over my shoulder, and I could feel the body heat coming from this person. When whoever this was peered over me, who are you? I asked, when the owner of the hand touched my hand and said, I am Jesus. As he walked in like it was nothing, but the power from his name blew me back. It was like an energy that I had never felt before in my life, as I fell straight down the wormhole, not from the physical realm back into the spiritual realm again. What kind of power does this man carry to do this? As I questioned, as he walked with a calmness. And now me and Jesus are standing face to face, right across from one another. And now all the demons, spirits, and entities inside of me has now been alerted, observing from the inside, behind my eyes, sitting at a round table discussing a place that we call in the subconscious the white room, but ironically filled with darkness. A place in the pineal gland used to illegally communicate with spirits, as they watched while yelling, Sinoria, fight! Your way now! And Jesus heard everything they said. She's locked in. There's no way she could leave. Sinoria, get out now! Fight! She can't. Got her. He locked her in. Sinoria! As everyone spoke, all yelling to me at once. What should I do? You must fight, or you will die. Fight! When I dropped everything, I took off. But something stopped me. It was a power that I literally could not touch. As they yelled, Sinoria, whatever you do not bow. This power is too strong. I can't stand it. It will kill me. I can't stand any longer. And fell, giving up.
Jesus, Son of the Most High God, what do you want with me? I beg you, don't punish me.
What is your name?
Legion.
When all the names began to speak, and they begged instead.
Lord, we beg you, do not send us into the abyss.
And with hatred, he looked at them, but with love, he looked at me. And with one fling of his hand, they all went running, screaming and pouring out ragefully, fogging out of my body like black smoke. It was so many that I lost and could not keep count. As they screamed furiously, and I saw from afar that our morals was lit on fire. And even he screamed in agony, and they all went running. All becoming disembodied, all except for 5 that I would not release. No! As our morals screamed, and the rest flew away like a hot black breeze of a demented smoke. When he said, Jalisa is your name. You are no longer Sinoria, but Jalisa, meaning promise of God. My daughter, you are mine, and you are the promise of God. But I have not given up the rest, but you will. Because you are destined, Jalisa, promise of God. No longer, Sinoriel. You are mine, as you always have been. No! It has happened. Sinoriel has been taken. No longer the daughter of Satan, but the daughter of God. She is a traitor. When she is done, summon her. I made her my daughter, and this is how she dare betray us. Bring her before the council. She will answer us, or die. Now, do you guys remember when this happened in episode 6? Because you bounce so much in and out of time, I won't be able to teach you and train you the way I do Akaru. So I will take you to the Druids, who also bounce in and out of time, who will teach you all you need to know of the Order of Draga. When a woman in all black began walking towards us, who goes there? When Aurora said, "We are the Knights of the Dark." And just like that, a portal opened. When a group of old ladies came walking on these canes that were lit on fire, when they then said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I'm Sinoriel, and I have come to be trained in the way of the Order." "Do you promise to keep your oath?" "I do." "Then welcome to your first training of the Order." When they then brought me to a man who said with such an echo, "Are you sure that you want to be in the Order?" as power swarmed around him. When I then said, "I'm sure," he said, "Then show me what you got." As I then ran towards him and pulled my sword out and turned halfway into a wolf and used my other powers, when just that quick he swirled power around him and then knocked me down with a fireball. "Are you sure you're ready to be in the Order of Draga?" "Yes, and teach me how you did that." And I was now the Order of Draga. Welcome, Sinoriel. You are now well trained. Welcome to the Order. Finally. When Aurora then said, "I'm proud of you. Good job." And after that happened, remember when I told you guys how I got stuck in the Druid stones? When one day not far after this, I then needed to get somewhere, I'll use the Druid stones to get to where I need to be. When I then went up to it, following the directions, the map, and equations on how to access it. As I then began stepping the formula of which door I want to go through. With these stones, if you want to go through a door, you have to step your way to it. And then to get back through the door, use the same movements, but backwards. As I had just completed such for the doorway I wanted to go through. When the doorway to the Druid stones then opened, furying with power. As I then stepped through one door and then another, but the only problem is, I remembered how I got through the first door, but I couldn't remember my footsteps of how I got through the second door. As I then kept doing the same footsteps over and over, I kept messing up. And I went through more and more doors. Before I knew it, I had already been through 1,000 different doors and didn't remember my footsteps of any of them of how to get back. I was now stuck, stranded within the stones. Meanwhile, while I was in there, my mom was there at the Druid stones for those 7 years knocking and banging. She was taught by a green witch, so she knew about the Druid stones. For those years, because of our soul tie, she would try and draw me back. And she knew I was in there, but every time she got back home, she would forget all over again. Meanwhile, I was now in the timeline of 2322. That's 300 years into the future. Year 2322. Great. And didn't I tell you to leave the people in the city alone? Meanwhile, while this was happening, other people with powers were robbing a truck. Long story short, after 7 years, I finally got back home. But I realized that I never told you guys how. Now this is what happened and led to me actually being able to get back home. When I then walked back through another door, taking me directly into the past, as I rose through the ground, through a pentagram drawn on the floor. This is a familiar place. I know this place. This is a church called Word of Faith, and we would go here all the time when I was younger. In fact, on this day, my family and younger me is here. But as I questioned to myself, because what I didn't get is how am I here now? How am I even able to step foot into this church? I thought to myself, and the answer fell right before me, and I couldn't believe what it was and the reasoning, and neither would you. But at first I wondered, how in the world and why am I here? And I then looked up at their logos and saw it. That sword that they are pretending is the sword of the armor of God. It's the very hidden sword and logo of Freemasonry, even down to the so-called shield that it's on. What a pity. Church people can't even trust their own. And as if that wasn't enough, let me show you this too. On the very front doorsteps of the church is this symbol. Notice it from anywhere? How about here? But guess where it's from? I kid you not, it is the Buddhist wheel of law. And as if that's not enough, there's more. This symbol is often dedicated to the god Pluto, aka another name that you may know, Hades, the god of the dead, lord of the underworld, aka Satan. That is here. Want to hear something even crazier though? Another name in the Bible for hell is, you guessed it, Hades. You see, it turns out that these people and pastor in charge of this church called Word of Faith had made a demonic deal. As they asked him, what is it that you want? Riches, fame, wealth, we'll give it, but in exchange we want your soul. Deal. Therefore also giving them principalatorial and territorial rights of the church itself, as well as the gullible people in it. It was nice making this deal with you. Thanks for the souls. You'll have what you wish for. I know that you are busy, and I thank you for making this deal with me. I will keep my end of the bargain. Good, because if you don't want to know what'll happen to you and your family. When I snapped out of my demonic power of divination, now I understand how I'm here. If it wasn't for that stupid pastor, I wouldn't have a way of getting back home. Thanks for making a deal with us. As I took off, walking, now I have it in my mind to make it to a certain group of creatures that I think could be of help to me. And I know just where they are. As I walked up to the door, speaking the proper words and making the demonic hand signals to get into the basement. As I stepped into the corridors and shouted, "Historians! I need your help. I know you're here." And in an instant, out came the oldest, palest looking faces. The first group of most respected Nephilim when they said, "We are here. What is it that you want?" And I turned around. Finally. Now I'll finally get to take my behind back home. When I turned around and said, "I realize that it is not your problem, but I am lost and I am from the Order. And the historians are known to have allegiance to the Order." When they said, "And what is it that you need?" "I need to get back home. I need transportation. A portal. I forgot how to get back through the Druid stones the proper way. Help me, and I'll owe you one. We know of you, and we have been waiting for you for a long time. We will make a deal with you. But in return, we expect something, and you will not know until the time comes. Do we have an agreement?" "We do." When one then said, "Then come this way," taking me to other corridors and doorways that it was in charge of. When one of them, the leader, then pulled out a device, handed it to me and said, "Do you know what this is?" "No, of course not. I'm no Nephilim." "What is it?" "This is a transportation device. It can get you anywhere through time. Faster than the speed of light. But it's so small. How am I supposed to fit in it?" When he said, "Take it, roll it across the ground, and then it will get bigger. Only then step into it and connect it to your mind. It will take you wherever you need to go." When I then tried it, it works. Linked to my mind when I stepped into it and said, "Thank you, I owe you one." "You do," and took off faster than I can comprehend. And eventually, because connected to my mind, it knew its location. Finally making it back through the doorways of the Druid stone, back home again. And that is how I got back, by making an unknown deal with the historians. And it wasn't until years later, when I got back home, I was reading the Bible one day after becoming a Christian and found out about Ezekiel's vision. And after looking at the images, I then began yelling, That's what I was in. This was recently caught by a drone and by other cameras. Today. Can you believe it? Nephilim still using angelic technology. Yep, that's how I got home. Now before I get to this part, let me first tell you about this. Remember when this happened in episode 11? Our Morals caught one and threw him down the stairs. Now only one got away to tell and call for reinforcement, which is exactly what they wanted. As they laughed and celebrated with their war chants, when a particular person nearby heard everything and came. As she ran and collided to the ground, pulling out both her swords, knives, and weapons. It was Akaru. But not knowing who it was and who she was fighting against, she then quickly took off running. When right away she got snatched up by a huge demon, Betrayal, and he wants her as a mate. When Betrayal yelled, "Commander, let me keep her, let her be mine," the helmet is removed as a sign of loyalty in marriage. Never. And after that, this happened. Akaru, he dare says a name that is above his rank. Step aside, so that you will not be considered as a traitor. When she then said, "My queen, they killed my family and took me as a slave when I was young. Do what you want. I could care less." And walked away. Died like a warrior. No! And that was it. The first house was down. When our Morals then looked at Akaru and said, "I may have misjudged you, little one. From now on, you are no longer Akaru, but Akwayah, meaning cruel, but loyal." When he said, "Give her the ability of shapeshift, magic, and wings. She is now one of us." As I stood back and smirked, as he knelt down and said, "Welcome, Akwayah." And eventually, Akaru and Betrayal became mates. Now I never knew his name, but I call him Betrayal.
Together.
And the Dark Ones meant it when they said,
Things will be different now. For all of you.
it was a new chapter for us all. Now meanwhile, after all of this, Akwayah is now a new person and up to new things. Well, kind of. This is what most likely happened on this day. Oh, those silent footsteps, just as trained. And is now a bounty hunter for what I assume is killing the rest of the order. But now more powerful because she now has the power and the magic backed up by a fallen angel. And according to her orders, she most likely found one of the hidden homes of the Order of Draga. And her mate was always right there with her. Crazy as can be. And it was speculated that it was until they finally found the leader of that household of the order. What? It's true. You? What are you doing here? Traitor! Akaru, please! It is Akwayah now. So yes, much has changed since the last time you guys heard of her. Because she is no longer a servant anymore, but now has a title. And is now wife of the son of a principality. At least last time I heard. I don't want to lie. But it kind of makes you wonder, if this is what she is now, and the Fallen Kingdom are the enemies of the Izafrians, then what is she to Ryux? I guess we'll find out. And more trouble begins. Okay, now let's get back to where we left off and I detoured from. It was so many that I lost and could not keep count. As they screamed furiously, and I saw from afar that our Morals was lit on fire. And even he screamed in agony. And they all went running. all becoming disembodied, all except for 5 that I would not release. No! As our Moro screamed, and the rest flew away like a hot black breeze of a demented smoke. When he said, Jalisa is your name. You are no longer Sinoriel, but Jalisa, meaning promise of God. My daughter, you are mine, and you are the promise of God. But I have not given up the rest, but you will, because you are destined, Jalisa, promise of God, no longer Sinoriel. You are mine, as you always have been. No! It has happened. Sinoriel has been taken. No longer the daughter of Satan, but the daughter of God. She is a traitor. When she is done, summon her. I made her my daughter, and this is how she dare betray us. Bring her before the council. She will answer us, or die. And if you dare get in the way, you know what will happen to you, her, and your family. Amora said nothing but looked down. When one ran up, but Satan, what if we can't kill her? When Amoros looked interested in the answer. When Satan said, well then get one who can. One that she will not fight back against, who she cares for. Silent, Amoros knew what he was thinking. As he continued, one of our new additions. Akroyah. As they laughed, good idea, boss. As they laughed gleefully. But Amoros looked down and turned his head away in disappointment. Meanwhile, I'm still with Jesus, and chains I didn't know of fell off my entire body. And he is now done, and is walking away. I will follow him and see what this great power is. I forgot the sound of my name. He knew my name. Forget these weapons. And dropped them. And I gleefully ran after Jesus. But meanwhile, someone was deployed to come and get me. It was Akaru, now known as Akroyah. Now that I'm a traitor, who will she show her loyalty to now? When I fell back onto my bed into my body and breathed, oh snap, it happened. He wants me. It was like being accepted into university. And it began. When someone arrived, and a portal opened behind me. The floor flew past my face. What? But didn't touch me. Angry as I looked to see who it was. Akaru. It is Akroyah now, my queen. As she walked closer, standing face to face right in front of me, which was a way to display a close bond of loyalty to someone. You're loyal? When she backed away and said, my queen, look, you have no idea, but you have been green-lighted. And now Satan himself has called for me to come and get you. But my queen, we can fight. We can hide. Akroy, you know we can't. Just open it up and let us go. I won't put up a fight. That was the purpose of sending you. Take me. And with a deep sigh of disappointment, she did exactly that. When she opened the portal and took me. As we both went, as we arrived, go back to where you're supposed to. This is not gonna be good. I might die. But Noria, walk through. Today is your day of punishment. And every fallen one, demon and entity from every kingdom that I have ever betrayed was all there to get their peace. And they looked at me as if I was the dirtiest thing ever, a traitor, which is the worst thing you could be in the Dark Kingdom. So Noria, step forward. You are here before the council. When Satan spoke, we all have heard and we know what you have done. You betrayed us. Me, after making you my daughter. Well, is it true? When I paused and looked around, and everyone was staring at me like they wanted to attack me and rip me apart. When he said, I'll give you one last chance. Bow now and live. When I said, you know me, I bow before no one. When he laughed and said, then what are we all here for? You heard my daughter. She bows to no one. When I said, no one but God now. And everyone yelled and all the demons and entities outraged. When Satan said, so be it then. Traitor! Let it be written this day before the council that Sinoriel shall hereby be punished by torture. And all the demons that were hers will now turn against her. Do you have any last words? When I paused and said, I've never seen a power like that before. It is true that there is no power like God. Take her away! Let's see what your God will do for you now. As I screamed, being pulled away. Move it, traitor. Until I finally got in a certain area and a fight ensued. Did they really think I would let it be this easy? When I turned around, and it went on for a good while too. There was clearly no way that I was gonna win, but I wasn't going down without causing chaos. When one finally got the best of me, as expected, tying me up, binding me, and placing me into a chair. And I was silent because there was nothing that I could say nor that needed to be said. Let's get this over with. But secretly I would think to myself, I hope they don't hurt me too bad this time. And it was time. I most likely won't live through this one. And the two demons that hated me the most came. Satan's favorite two torturers, as he gleefully watched, and it started. What can you do? You're binded to a chair with ropes that undoes all the magic you have. And you must suffer through it, even if it takes centuries. Try not to show weakness, or they'll make it worse for you. The tauntings, the beatings, the scalding hot water, the constant lighting you on fire. Oh, how creative they can get all of a sudden. When finally, after an Earth month, but just a few days in the Dark Realm, Satan finally came towards me. Is it my time to be let free? I thought to myself. When he came in and brought a visit, I watched as a large pair of wings spread amongst the shadow on the wall. When he pushed someone in and said, "Get in there, look up." Sinorio, look. Weak and tired from the pain my head turned. Amor, what is he doing here? Why is he here? Sorry, I've been tortured too, but it is nothing to me. When Satan yelled and said, "Look at you! He was obedient to me before you!" and took him and pushed him over to me and said, "Go to her, now!" When he slowly went over to me and said, "What do you want me to do?" As Satan snickered, smiling chaotically, when he said, "We all know your favorite meal, a human face. Eat hers alive." And I couldn't believe it. I knew that was his favorite meal, and he never turned it down. When he shocked me and shook his head and said, "I cannot. Not this one." When Satan said, "It's not that you can't, it's that you don't want to," quickly changing his mannerisms and said, "Do you want your whole line to be tortured?" When he responded, "No, then do this. I cannot. I'll give you one more chance." Thank you. If you can't do it yourself, then watch her be tortured. Don't worry, there's a promotion in it for you. When he came closer and whispered to me, "Sorry, this is for our own good. I don't wish this to happen. But if it doesn't, our entire line will be punished." I've been tortured before, but that was to make me stronger as a warrior. This is torture, punishment, or disobedience. This is different. They could kill me. They have permission. As he began to slowly back away, and my eyes lit up when I began yelling, "You traitor!" And all the demons began coming in that were all my enemies. And so it happened. And as punishment, my face was peeled and eaten before my very eyes as I screamed. And the power that he had tried giving me to numb the pain of the torture, Satan had already thought about, and it didn't work. I didn't have the power to mask the pain like before, because all the demons had left my body. But what I didn't know at this time is that had I accepted Jesus, I would have had protection. And when you are an enemy in a dark realm, you better have Jesus, the highest power that there is. Tortured for so long when I then yelled, "Where's this God that I spoke so boldly for?" My eyes lit up as I laughed. I knew you'd come to get me. Finally. I know I'm supposed to go with you. must get revenge. To be continued.